It's 8:27 p.m. on a freezing December night in the Huachuca Mountains of southern Arizona. A motion sensor trips, a camera flashes, and into frame walks something that, according to every wildlife record in the United States, should not exist here: a jaguar. The camera belongs to a guy who spent 5 years running trail cams in these mountains, chasing one impossible photo. He finally got it. Arizona Game and Fish rushed to verify the footage, and when they lined up the rosettes, those ring-shaped spot patterns as individual as a fingerprint, they realized this wasn't one of the handful of known cats. Not Elfay, not Sombra. This was a jaguar nobody in America had ever documented. A new name added to a list that's barely 9 names long. Here's why that single frame should be impossible. The United States spent the first half of the 20th century systematically wiping jaguars off the map. Not through habitat loss, not by accident, through bounty hunters, ranchers, and government trappers who hunted the species to zero. It worked, and the nearest breeding population left today sits 125 miles south, buried in the Sierra Madre of Sonora, Mexico.
Between that population and the cat in this trail cam sits the most heavily fortified border in the Western Hemisphere. 2/3 of it now sealed behind steel wall that researchers have clocked as functionally impassable to an animal this size. And yet, they keep coming. One after another, for 30 straight years, jaguars have been walking north into a country that erased every one of their kind. Nobody can prove exactly how they're slipping through. And once you understand how thin that record actually is, the how stops being the real mystery. The real mystery is why they bother at all. Stick around, because the answer researchers have landed on is stranger and sadder than you'd expect. And it's tied to a door in that border wall that's being welded shut right now. For 20 straight years, 1976 to 1996, the United States recorded exactly one confirmed jaguar sighting. One. The species had become southwestern folklore, the kind of thing an old rancher swears his father saw once. Then, in March 1996, a houndsman's dogs in southeastern Arizona's Polancio Mountains treed what everyone assumed was a mountain lion. It wasn't. 6 months later, 70 miles west in the Babuquivari Mountains, it happened again. 2 jaguars, 2 sets of photographs, half a year apart, in a country that supposedly had none left.
The following year, the jaguar went back on the endangered species list. And because of those unique rosette patterns, biologists could finally do something new: count individuals, not just sightings. Since 1996, roughly 8 or 9 distinct jaguars have been documented on American soil. Each one effectively has a name. Macho B, an old male believed to be 15 or 16, radio-collared in 2009 in a capture that ended in controversy and his death. Elfie, the boss, first photographed in 2011, named by Tucson middle schoolers, who held territory in the Santa Rita Mountains for years and reportedly killed and ate an American black bear. Sombra, Shadow, repeatedly caught on camera in the Chiricahuas since 2016. Yoko, who worked the Huachucas before being shot by a rancher after crossing back into Sonora in 2018. 8 or 9 cats, 30 years, one country the size of the continental United States. And that's what makes the pattern impossible to shrug off, because jaguars weren't always this rare here, not even close. They once ranged from Arizona and New Mexico through Texas, Louisiana, and California. In Theodore Roosevelt's lifetime, they prowled as far north as the Grand.
The paper trail on that decision is unnervingly specific. In 1906, a trapper killed a female jaguar in the Chiricahuas and sold her cubs off as pets. In 1932, a federal predator patrol agent shot a female on the south rim of the Grand Canyon. In 1963, a hunter killed a female in the White Mountains of east central Arizona. Hold on to that last date. It's the hinge the entire mystery swings on. That 1963 kill is the last confirmed female jaguar in United States history. 60 plus years and not one since. Every jaguar you've just heard about, the 8 or 9 cats photographed since 1996, isn't a survivor of some hidden American population. There is no hidden population. Every single one of them came from somewhere else and chose to come here. The nearest viable breeding population sits about 125 miles south of Douglas, Arizona.
Sierra Madre, maybe 200 cats, part of a Mexican national population estimated around 4,000, concentrated far to the south. The borderlands are the frayed, thinning edge of the species' entire range. For a jaguar, 125 miles is nothing. Young males disperse, pushed out by bigger, older males, driven to stake out territory of their own. One documented male in Arizona ranged across roughly 500 square miles on his own. And the terrain practically hands them a route. The Madrean Sky Islands, dozens of isolated mountain ranges rising out of the desert like stepping stones across a hostile sea. The Palencios, the Babaquivaris, the Huachucas, the Chiricahuas, the Santa Ritas. Each one cool, forested, watered, holding deer and cover. It's a road that's existed for millennia, and jaguars have been walking it the whole time. So distance was never the obstacle. What we built across the middle of that road is. And to understand what kind of animal is actually making this crossing, forget the term big cat. It undersells this thing badly. The jaguar is the largest cat in the Americas, and
While lions and tigers kill by suffocating the throat, a jaguar kills by punching straight through skull bone into the brain. Its name is believed to trace back to an indigenous word meaning, roughly, the beast that kills in a single bound, which suddenly makes it a lot more believable that researchers found evidence Elfe had killed and eaten a black bear during his years in the Santa Ritas. This isn't a starving straggler stumbling across the border by accident. It's a fully capable apex predator, arriving in good condition, holding territories of hundreds of square miles, hunting successfully for years, and in several cases, walking calmly back to Mexico when it's done. Whatever is pulling these animals north, weakness isn't the explanation. Here's where the story stops adding up. Roughly 2/3 of Arizona's border is now sealed by steel bollard wall, standing up to 30 feet tall, with gaps between the bars of about 4 inches, wide enough to slide a hand through sideways. Not a jaguar.
The data backs it up. A multi-year camera study across roughly 100 miles of border barrier found an 86% collapse in successful wildlife crossings wherever steel wall replaced the old vehicle barriers. In some segments, large mammal crossings didn't just drop, they hit 0. And the numbers on the Mexican side are just as brutal. Over 2 decades, the Northern Jaguar Project has individually identified 176 different jaguars in the northern Sierra Madre. Out of all of them, only 3 are known to have ever crossed into the United States. 3 out of 176. Stack everything else on top. A bulldozed patrol road up to 150 feet wide, stadium lighting running all night, Mexican Highway 2 running traffic parallel to the line on the south side. And in December 2023, one did. In 2026, another male, researchers are calling him Cinco, was filmed 3 separate times in the mountains south of Tucson over a single spring, pacing the same ground. The wall is real. The crossings keep happening. Both things are true at once. The current best explanation is almost anticlimactic. They're not beating the wall. They're walking around it. About 80 miles southeast of Tucson, the mountains open into the San Rafael Valley, rolling grassland running straight up to the international line. For years, there was no steel wall here at all, just a chest-high vehicle barrier of horizontal rails. A truck can't get past it. A jaguar walks under it without breaking stride. Researchers now consider the San Rafael Valley the single most important surviving gap for jaguars anywhere on the Arizona border.
A door left open exactly where the Sky Islands of Sonora connect to the Sky Islands of Arizona. Exactly where these cats have always traveled.